Good morning, ZCMS student. This is Pirate News for Wednesday, September 11, 2013.
8th graders, if you are planning to go to Washington, D.C., make sure you turn in your permission slips. If you have any questions, ask your language arts teacher. There will be an informational meeting for student council tomorrow after school. Meet in Mr. Dean's room, room 210 at 310. For more info, see Mr. Dean or Mr. Angelos.
I was a senior in high school at Zion Benton Township High School, and I remember that it was a Tuesday morning because we were in government class, and every Tuesday we were in the computer lab. So I remember very clearly going to the computer lab that morning, and the government teacher coming in and saying that everybody turn on the news that a plane had crashed into a building in New York. I didn't think anything of it at the time because not long before that, there was a plane crash in Zion, and I thought it was another incident like that. It turned out really quickly how wrong I was, and I remember each class period we were watching on the TV. Second period was AP Chemistry, and I remember watching the towers fall, one right after the other, and it was at that moment that I realized for the first time that this was a really serious issue.
I remember the day that it happened. I saw it on the news, and I was watching the clips of the first plane hitting the tower, and then as I was watching it live, I saw the second plane hit that second tower. And then I instantly called my dad, who works in the city of Chicago, because I was paranoid that it was a terrorist attack and that a building that was near his work would be attacked next. So I was trying to get him to come out of the city. I remember it was pretty emotional.
Hi, my personal experience of 9/11 was I was at work, sitting at my desk, and my girlfriend texted me or phoned me and said that her mother had just called her and said that for some strange reason a plane or planes had attempted to crash into the Pentagon, but they missed and they crashed into the ground. I'm assuming it was because the people took over on the plane.
On the day of 9/11, I was actually in my grandmother's living room and was preparing to go to my mother's funeral. My world had already ended. She had died a few days prior, and we were heading out the door. My entire family was all there, and we had the news on, not really listening or watching, and saw the first tower fall. That's all we caught. So it was really hard to focus on what was really going on anywhere else in the world when our world was coming down around us.
9/11, the morning of 9/11, I was pulling into West School parking lot, and the first announcement of a plane hitting one of the Twin Towers came over. By the time I got settled into school and class started, the announcement came for the second airplane to hit the tower, and from there it just kept getting to the point where more and more information was coming out, but no one really quite knew what was going on. The news came, and we were listening over the radio, and the office was keeping track of stuff. So it was a very hard day and very long day. The school went into lockdown, and parents after school came and picked up their kids and went home and watched it on TV just like everybody else.
In 9/11, I was 18 years old, and I was sitting in my classroom when one of the kids ran in and told me that the second plane had hit the Pentagon or hit another building. And so we instantly turned on the television, and school stopped. And we no longer worked on anything, and we just started watching television. And the first thing that went through my mind was, I'm going to war, which I was not excited to do because I felt like we were going to declare war and I didn't know anything. So for about 4 or 5 hours, I was completely scared, thinking that we were being attacked by a different country. And I thought that being 18 years old and not necessarily not having a college plan yet, that I was going to get drafted to go and fight in a war, so I was terrified at the moment. So.
I think the most vivid memory for me And 9/11 was, I was working in a classroom in North Chicago, Illinois, and everyone was talking about putting on the TV. There was something going on, so we turned on the TV. At that time I was doing kindergarten. We turned on the TV and there was a news report saying that something had happened in New York at the Twin Towers, and there was a possibility that we were going to be sent home. To put a long story short, because we all know what had happened, when I got home, my mother-in-law lives in New York, and she works on the same street with the Twin Towers. That morning, she had missed her train, so she did not get to work on time. She's never late, she's always early, but that day she was late for work. And by the time we found out what had happened, we found out that because of the fact that she was late for work, she was not killed in the explosions that destroyed both of the towers.
On 9/11, I remember I was in high school and someone turned on the radio. I was in math class, someone turned on the radio, and we didn't believe that anything was really happening, and our teachers made us listen to it. And I remember walking out into our school's common area, and all the TVs were turned to the channel that they were broadcasting this on the news, and it was just unbelievable. And I went home and it was still on TV, so it took a very long time for it to really sink in what was really happening.
Hello, my name is Ms. Fulton. I'm the Dean of Students. And 9/11, on 9/11 I was teaching middle school, and I was in Florida at that time. And as you know, in Florida, President Bush was there, so the whole school went on lockdown, and there were parents rushing to come get their children on that day. I may have had maybe 4 or 5 students left in my class on that day. We had the TV on in the classroom. We were on lockdown at that time because we felt that the perpetrators were going to come to Florida. I was in Tampa, Florida at the time, and Bush was reading to a group of kids, and we thought they were going to come and get the president. So once we dismissed, I went straight home and I watched all the footage on TV. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Was very horrified, very sad for everything that was happening. I almost went through a depression watching it, but that was the day, 9/11/2001.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.